right, guys, we are back. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon. As always, it is so great to see you. Now, friend, earlier this year, I did a video on why you need to print your photos, but that led to a lot of questions from you guys about how is the best way to print your photos, and that is where this video comes in. Now, to be perfectly honest, there's really no one method of printing images that will work for everyone. Keeping that in mind, I'd like to share with you how I go about printing my images as a way to help you figure out what is going to be the best way for you to print out yours. But as usual, before we go jumping into today's topic, I'd like to give a big thank you to all of you watching this video. The support is much appreciated. Now, if you've already subscribed to the channel, thank you very much for being awesome. If you aren't subscribed yet, now's the chance to go down below, click that subscribe button, and join our growing community. With that said, pull up a seat in, let's go! Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, I did a video a while back and talked about the importance or the reasons for printing your photos is so darn important. There's a bit of nostalgia of looking through your old photos with other people and just sharing with that experience. Looking at your printed image is a learning experience as well. Your mistakes and successes are much more evident when you are looking at your printed images versus seeing them on your computer screen. Printing your photos makes them much more meaningful. There's something about, guys, being able to hold an image that you created in your hand and the tactile feeling and the experience of feeling the weight and the texture of the paper is pretty awesome. Now, if you haven't seen that other video yet, I'd like to encourage you to check it out by clicking the link in the description after you watch this video. Hopefully that inspires you to print out more of your photos as well. Now, speaking of which, a couple weeks ago, I had a video that was released that spoke about 2 tips that will up your game, up your photography game, and one of them being printing out photos. That was a topic, again, discussed right there. I'm going to put a link below for that video as well. But now that we're here, we're all inspired to print our photos, but the question remains, what is the best way to print them out? Now, this is a bit of a loaded question, if I'm being honest here. I noted earlier that there's not one method of printing photos that will be the best for every person or even every image for that matter. Now, though I print a fair share of my photos at my home, sometimes I want a photo that is printed on metal, or the texture of rich canvas for that really classic look. And while I'm thinking about it, a nice acrylic, or just, hey, sometimes I want an image or a photo or a print rather that is larger than what my print can accommodate as well. So guys, the best way to print photos will often change depending upon what your end goal is. Now think about this. When people ask you, what is the best camera? Now you often hear that oh so familiar response that the best camera is the one, what? The one that you have with you. That is a easy question to answer. But answering what is the best way to print your photos, friend, it's not quite as simple. There's a lot of moving parts to this. Now, with this in mind, I do want to talk to you about what works for me. Ultimately, you have to do you, but my hope here is talking about what I've experienced over the years will help you kind of zero in on the process that you need to undertake to print your images. Now, to do that, we have to jump back in time a little bit. My story begins in the mid-1970s as a boy in upstate, oh, damn, what the... Guys, we know each other. We don't need to go far. We don't need to go that far back. I mean, no, cut it. All right, guys. For years, I used Canon printers. In fact, it was a solid, 12 to 14 years at the beginning of my photography career that I used nothing but Canon printers. I loved them. The funny thing is, because now I shoot exclusively with Canon cameras, but a few years ago, I switched from Canon printers to Epson. And you know, don't get me wrong, Canon makes a great printer. And back in the day, I loved the colors that they produce. But 4 or 5 years ago, I was at the Photo Plus show up in New York, and I stumbled upon the Epson booth. And guys, I really didn't think much of it because I was completely happy being a Canon guy. But then I saw the P800 at work and it was completely amazed with the colors that this thing had produced. And needless to say, I picked up a P800 and when I got home, I never turned back. I got the same brilliance of colors, the beautiful contrast, the vibrance in the images that I saw at the Epson booth. I kept getting with that P800 over and over again. That was an amazing printer, amazing printer and printing experience with it. You know the saying, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Well, guys, the grass was definitely greener on the other side in this particular situation. And again, I'm not bashing on Canon printers. They are fantastic at what they do, but this should tell you just about how impressed I was with the Epson, or how impressed I was with Epson. Canon is great, but Epson was really great. I quickly discovered that Epson color profile and Epson inks are much more to my liking than what I was getting out of the Canon printers. So after switching over to Epson, I used the P800 for, several years. But now the torch has passed from the P800 to, boom. Well, actually, it's right over there is where we're going to be pointing to, where I'm going to bring that camera focus here in a moment, the P900. And guys, I've held off on printing my first image on this thing so I could share this experience with you. All right, guys, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to print out a photo, and I've selected a photo. Oddly enough, I just had a metal print of this thing done right here. Okay, so boom. So this is a last month. I was up at Lake Kashima up in Santa Barbara filming the next one of the episodes of the Photography Trekking Adventures. And this particular sunset right here, let's see if I can get this in with no glare. Boom. Okay, there we go. Oh, there we go. All right, so we keep getting a lot of glare, and I don't want that to be distracting. So anyways, this particular shot right here, it was a incredible sunset, just fiery orange sky, and I had these, I like this shot for a couple reasons here. So it took a handful of shots for me to be able to frame this one up here. Let me see if I can get that in there so you can see. So I kept timing it. I had my camera down near the shoreline, and I wanted to get that white water kind of rolling over. For my foreground interest, I had these, and you know, I'm just going to put a shot of this on the screen here so you can see it without all the glare. But I like the look of these twigs coming up out of the water. I'm not sure what they are. That silhouette of the mountain in the background, and of course you had this fiery orange sky as the sun was dipping behind the mountains there. I love this shot. So I had Art Beat Studios print me out this. I'm going to use this as an example because Art Beat Studios, if there's one thing that I really love what these guys do, and it's funny, it's because metal prints is such a pain in the ass to get colors really good, but Art Beat Studios does it better than anybody else. So what we're going to do is I'm going to print this image out on that printer, and we're going to compare, see how the colors really look on the P900. I'm super excited about this.
A few moments later.
Wow, that turned out pretty darn awesome. Again, colors are just on the spot. You have that. This is the magic part of being able to print, as we we're talking about a moment ago. There's no substitute when you print a photo, and even as I'm talking about this and sharing with you the reasons why you want to print your photos, every time I print something out, guys, it's a feeling that I get inside. And it's fun because here I'm holding a metal print of one of these, the same exact shot, and yet that power of a print in my hands right now, it's still passing through. Seriously, guys, if there's one thing that you walk away from this video here is just get out there. If you don't have a printer or you haven't printed your own photos out for yourself, go to a buddy, go to a friend, go to a Kinko's, go someplace and print one of your photos out on a good quality paper, and you'll see the power. It's just amazing experience. All right, to shift gears a little bit to illustrate what you might want to look for in a printer, let me share with you a few features that I really appreciate about the P900. Now for me, I like to print large images, so with a 17-inch tray, I can do that with this printer. And hell, that might not be part of your workflow, but for me, it was a necessity to have the capacity, or the printer to be able to have the capacity for larger prints. Now, just be sure, before you go buying a printer, make sure, verify how large the printer can actually print before you actually pick it up yourself. Next, my printer has a 10-channel print head, and now, not only does this help speed up the process of printing, but it also makes the colors, what we were talking about earlier, much more accurate. And guys, this isn't to say that printers with fewer channels are not going to be able to print fast or consistent or accurate, but for me, the 10 channel is the way to go. And especially when you're printing out of your home, you got to consider what inks the printer is using as well, not only from a cost standpoint, but more importantly, from the color accuracy and the quality of the inks that are actually used. For example, my printer uses Ultra Chrome PR010 ink, and guys, this ink produces colors that are incredibly rich and vibrant that really bring my photos to life. And here's a big one that a lot of people overlook. Give the print interface a look when you're shopping for a printer as well. And if you don't have the ability to get a hands-on with it, go onto YouTube, watch some gear reviews of the particular printer, and pay attention to the interface itself. Guys, some printers have really complex menu systems that make it really difficult in terms of the printing process goes. But the Epson here, though, has a clean, it's a simple user interface that allows me to make really quick work of getting my prints moving. My Epson, though, has a really clean, simple user interface that allows me to make quick work of getting my prints going. In fact, I can print color managed images directly from my iPhone itself. So to recap, when looking for a printer, consider the size of the paper it can handle, think about how fast and accurate it can print, consider the inks that it uses, and how easy it is to use the printer as well. Now, if you focus on these things, your chances are going to be really good that you're going to end up with a printer that is going to allow you to print your photos like a pro. And of course, no matter what printer that you get, you have to commit to printing your photos out. Guys, stop thinking of printing your images as an option and really start thinking of it as part of a vital part of your workflow itself. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to print out every single image that you create, but at least try to print out maybe 1 or 2 of your images every month so you can feel them in your hands and look at them in real life opposed to on your computer screen. And besides, the more of your images that you print, the more likely you are to figure out the best way for you to print out your photos. Now, if you're interested in who I use for my metal prints, acrylic and canvas prints, well, for my canvas prints, I use Canvas HQ. These guys are absolutely crushing it for canvas prints. For the last couple years, you may know that we had a kind of a secret shopper $100 canvas shootout. Both years, last year we tested 4 companies. This year, I think it was up to 7 or 8 canvas companies that went head to head. Canvas HQ comes out on a large margin, and I'm going to put a link down below to that shootout as well. That was actually pretty impressive when you see that contrast between different companies and what they're doing. But I like Canvas HQ. When it comes to metal prints, I use Artbeat Studios. And earlier I mentioned to you one of the difficulties with printing on metal is getting color accuracy. And these guys really do it well. And a matter of fact, I spoke about the $100 secret shootout with the canvas. We actually had our first metal print one this year, and these guys out of, again, I think it was 7 or 8 different companies, these guys took the title on that, but I love the work that they do. And then when it comes to acrylic prints, Nevada Art Printers. And it's funny with this company, these guys are absolutely masters with acrylic. And I became familiar with these guys. I noticed a lot of the pros that I'm friends with on Facebook. You'll see them talking about Nevada Art Printer. And I decided one day to give Nevada Art Printer a shot. It was actually the first print that I had them do was when I came back from Norway. And actually, that's this shot right here, and I'll put it on the screen here someplace. They did a phenomenal job with this print, the level of detail, and it's It's actually one of my favorite prints in my home. That's the reason why I look at it right in front of my office all day long. And guys, these are the companies that, in my opinion, are the best at what they do. So, of course, these are going to be the ones that I'm going to recommend. Now, just be aware that finding the best method for printing your photos will require a little bit of experimentation and patience, but it's a journey, one that took me a decade or two to figure out. Hopefully, this video is going to make a little bit quicker process for you. All right, guys, there you go. This was another fun video to put together for you. If you were mildly entertained, if you liked this video, do me a favor. This is the part where I'm going to ask you to do all that valuable YouTube stuff. Hit that like button down below if you aren't currently subscribed to the channel. Hey, I'd love to have you part of the family. And while you're at it, kick that bell to be notified each time that we come out with a video. All right, my friends, well, I'm going to get on out of here, so you get out there, stay healthy, and create your best shot.